This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we are talking about the MVP race and other award races. We have probably the hotly contested Giannis Antetokounmpo versus James Harden debate that we'll be having. We'll also talk about the Rookie of the Year, Six-Man, Most Improved, Coach of the Year, and Defensive Player of the Year awards as well. We'll give our predictions since we are only 2 weeks away from the end of the season. Then we'll be jumping into some draft talk. We got the Dallas Mavericks. What if they keep their pick at 5 or in the top 5? And then we'll also be talking about our favorite prospect, apparently, coming out of the past 2 weeks from the Mock Draft 4.0 and the mailbag. Bol Bol. We'll talk about his best fits as he just recently declared for the NBA draft. I'll try to take my opinion out of it because clearly you guys think I'm hating too hard.
Against this man.
A vendetta.
I wish the best for all of these prospects. I don't like Nasir Little as a prospect. I wish him the best. I hope he becomes Kawhi Leonard. I hope the best for Cam Reddish. I hope he becomes Paul George. I hope Bol Bol becomes the 35 and 15 and 3 player that someone said in the comments. Like, come on. I have too much of an opinion in there, but Bol Bol is going to be the first player to average 35 points who's above like 6'8" or something like that. That's not Will Chamberlain. But yeah, we'll be talking about that, and then we'll also be doing Wet Boys. But before we jump into all that, we are getting close to the month of April, so that means we are going to be posting our new Patreon rewards. So if you do want to become a patron, you want to check those out. April 2nd, we'll be dropping those. We will have a bronze, silver, and gold tier. A lot of new fun stuff coming in, and a lot of old stuff staying. Things that we knew worked and things that we don't want to get rid of for the people who have contributed so far. We don't want to change up too much, but we're adding only good things is what I know so far, and I think that you guys are going to like it too. So check it out at patreon.com/mostvaluablepodcast. Anything before we jump into the Giannis or James Harden thing? I don't know. I felt like I might have cut somebody off.
No, I was just
good.
looking at stuff.
Let's do it. All right. We're going to jump into the MVP races. Let's give our preseason predictions first before we give our actual, let's get into the actual talk. If you missed this, we gave our predictions early in the season, right before the season. Yeah. And pretty much all of us had the Warriors over the Celtics in the NBA Finals, which probably won't happen. But we at least have the award predictions. We'll go through MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Six-Man, Coach of the Year, and Most Improved Player. Ricky, you got that pulled up?
Yes, I do.
Technically, I had the 76ers.
You said Warriors over East, though. Oh, yeah, technically you did, because it's 76ers over Celtics. So we'll see about that. But none of us had the Raptors or Bucks.
Correct.
But
Did
Ricky,
not see that coming.
give us your rundown of your preseason predictions for the MVPs, the Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year.
I had MVP LeBron James. Didn't expect him to be, or as Poppy calls him on highly questionable, LeGroin James, because he injured his groin.
Well, and your thing, too, was you thought that the Lakers were going to make it to the Western Conference Finals.
I thought it was going to be LeBron. I didn't know he was old and can get injured now.
Oh, my God.
Defensive Player of the Year, I had Kawhi. Rookie of the Year, I had Trae Young, or as I call him, Trey. Six-Man of the Year, Rajon Rondo. Thought that Laker team, I came in with so much hype. Coach of the Year, Brad Stevens. Seeming like that might be a little bit of a take that would have been hot if you didn't know what happened last year. And then MIP, the one I'm probably most right about, is Levine Cuisine, Zach LaVine.
I don't know about Most Improved Player for Levine, just because his team isn't good.
He's in the running.
If the Bulls, I think he's probably not going to win it, just because
your team does not need to be good for Most Improved.
Yeah, but I think it's more of a thing where he's just finally healthy. Like, this isn't anything too crazy. Like, this is just kind of a natural progression for him. I mean, looking at his first stats, because he did average 20 when he was with the Timberwolves, so it's not like crazy. Like, he had some crazy games, some crazy moments, but also it's like you're getting a ton of usage and you're scoring a ton because you're really the only guy who was capable to score on that team for a while before Otto Porter was there, before Markkanen was healthy.
And he would be the second Bull to win it since Jimmy Butler in 2014, 2015.
Yeah, I mean, like, he's had better statistics. Like, he had, back in 2016, 2017, he had 19 points per game on 45-38 shooting, and this year he's on 46.7 shooting, 37.4% from three, and on 23.7 scoring. So it's kind of a natural jump. So I don't know about that, but we'll get into that. I don't want to get into that discussion too much. But Dave, give us your your preseason predictions.
Sure. My preseason predictions for MVP, I had Giannis looking not too terrible right now.
It's the best one out of all of us.
Yeah, and that'll be interesting. Defensive player of the year, I had Rudy Gobert. Rookie of the year, I tried not to curse Luka Doncic, so I gave it to DeAndre Ayton.
Good save.
Still solid player though. Like underrated.
He has some of the best shooting percentages for
incredible
for a big
man offensive.
Yeah,
Sixth man of the year, Eric Gordon, did not pan out so well. He is hurt though. Coach of the year, D'Antoni, because of course the Rockets. And most improved player is gonna hurt, Markelle Fultz.
Yeah. Not only is he hurt, he's also probably bad at basketball.
I wouldn't go that far yet.
You know what?
I'm not 100% done on that man.
I hope he's not, for his sake. I mean, again, I'm wishing the best for him, but like. We're not going to see him this year for sure, but we'll see. We'll see what happens next year when he's with the Magic. But that was 76er Markelle Fultz. So
that's true.
Maybe the Magic's a different monster. Maybe he's an MVP.
Now he really just needs to get traded from the Magic. Then we'll see the real Markelle.
Now going to my preseason predictions. You're going to piss off Magic fans with that one.
Prove me wrong.
My preseason prediction for MVP was Anthony Davis. Defensive player of the year was Ben Simmons. He was really good in his first year. Not so much this year.
Yeah.
He's fine, but he's not great. Rookie of the year, Luka Doncic. Sixth man, Isaiah Thomas. He's hurt and bad at basketball. Coach of the year, also Brad Stevens. I thought that the Celtics were going to be the number one seed in the East, and clearly they are not. And most improved player was Brandon Ingram, who had his moments.
I was right there with you, drinking that Kool-Aid.
Yeah, but obviously had his injury to end his season about a couple weeks ago. And then also
point guard BI is a monster though.
I thought being next to LeBron was going to help him, and it did.
Yeah.
Kind of, late in the season before he got injured.
If you take away Rondo and Lonzo Ball, then yes, I think that's where the fit was.
Yeah, he had his moments. Yeah. But let's now talk about the awards now and how they are. We'll talk where Dave was right with Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Dave was right.
Giannis Antetokounmpo.
It's so good. It's so good, Colin.
And James Harden. A lot of people still feel it's Giannis, but I think all three of us feel like it's James Harden. So let's kind of make this debate happen. I think the debate is easy for Giannis. He has historic stats. I mean, obviously we want to talk about the 36 points per game that James Harden is averaging.
Which is laughable.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, I mean, Giannis is the only player, I think, in history to average 27.4 points per game, 12.5, and 6 assists.
I mean, minus like Wilt.
Well, I don't think Wilt had the assist numbers.
Oh, you're right.
So, and not only is he doing that, he's also on the best team in the East, at least record-wise, and that usually does help. So, at least for that, and he's been a monster, without a doubt. Giannis has been a freak, and it's been aptly named. I just feel that looking at James Harden and looking what he's done throughout the season, averaging 36 points per game, but also what he's done for the team, pretty much since December 11th, him turning this whole thing up where he's averaging 38.9 points per game since December 11th. That is kind of what shows you're an MVP, because through the first 23 games, they were in 14th place in the Western Conference, and now they're sitting at 4th. And that's largely due to James Harden's performance. If you didn't have James Harden on this team, they might not be a playoff team.
Oh, yeah,
and
absolutely.
The thing with Giannis is he's fantastic. He's incredible. I do not want to take that away from him. He is definitely number 2 in my mind. If I was voting, I'd do James Harden, I'd do Giannis, and then I'd do Nikola Jokic. That was also... Jokic might be a little bit iffy. He's definitely top 5.
You just want to be right.
But I do want to be right.
That was one of your bold calls, and you are not far off, sir.
I said that they were going to be top 3.
One of the best teams
and they're
in the West.
Top 2 right now. So that was one of the things I did get right. But yeah, I think that Giannis, if you did take him off the team, they wouldn't be a title contender, but they would be a playoff team still. Because Budenholzer clearly has shown that this team can run without Giannis when he's been injured, but also his on-off the court splits. I mean, like, they're much better with him on the court, but also this team is still really good when he's off the court. They go from a 116 offensive rating to a 110 offensive rating. That's still really good. Their defensive rating goes from a 104 to a 106. Like, that's still plenty enough to be like the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference. So my biggest thing, I think, that we're kind of relying on James Harden is, yes, he's having a historical season, so is Giannis, but if you took him off the team, where would they be? And that's the biggest argument for James Harden. I think probably the most important one.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, that was a team that was so depleted, the Rockets, with injuries throughout the year, between Chris Paul being down, then you had Clint Capella missing games. You've had, basically, I think they've had a solid rotation of G Leaguers coming up on 10-day contracts and then short-term deals. Like, it's next man up mentality, the only constant is James Harden's going to go out there and get you points, and he's going to get you so many points. And you look at those, and people want to be like, oh, it's just empty stats. Like, no, it's literally the opposite of empty stats because he put that team on his back. And yeah, at times it seems excessive, but when you look around on that court, it's like, this is the offense that was built around him, and they molded it perfectly. It adjusted. As Chris Paul came back, you just saw it continue to get better and better because, even though James Harden doesn't need to put up 50 a night, he's still putting up 30 plus a night, and he's doing that consistently. And now, as all the pieces start to come in place, that is a team that's just, it's so rock solid. And I don't think, like Sean said, without him there, like they're out of the playoffs completely.
Well, and since he's done this, since in the past 50 games, where since December 11th or whatever it was, they're 36-14. So clearly, him averaging these points, taking over these games, has helped the team. It's not empty stats that are winning games.
Well, it's the debate we have every single year. It's the one guy who is doing is it the MVP or is it the best player? Because
I think
in my mind, if you're giving it to the best player, Giannis is the better player than James Harden. If you're giving it to the most valuable player,
do you mean this year
or to James Harden? Well, this year it's just a 1-year award.
Okay.
Giannis is the better player.
What?
James Harden is the more valuable to his team.
What about his season is showing you that he's a better player?
I just with me, not to quote John, who's one of our patrons, but it's just the eye test out there. Like for me, overall, Giannis is the better player, does more things than James Harden. James Harden to me is just and the stat pattern thing comes in because he scores very well, and he's been a scorer his entire career. But the thing I find interesting with this, I would also say James Harden has been more valuable this year to the Rockets. That's why I would give it to James Harden, although I would love to give it to Giannis.
Yeah.
But the thing I find interesting is ever since the 08-09 season, so LeBron won it 4 times in that span. D-Rose, Durant, Steph Curry, Westbrook, and then Harden. Only 3 times has that team not been a 1 seed in the playoffs at the end of the year. The Russ year, because he
obviously
fucking triple-doubles mattered that
By the
year.
way, third year in a row, he's going to average a triple-double. Just tossing that out there for people.
And he's not even in the MVP talk now.
That's just normal.
It was cool. It was cool at the time, and now it's happened.
Totally.
You had then
but he's not even the best player on his team.
The year
like Paul George is going to be a top 5 MVP candidate.
Yeah,
he's probably top 3 for most people.
The year Kevin Durant won it, the Thunder were a 2nd seed, 3 games behind the Spurs. And then the 1 year LeBron won it in Miami, they were 4 games behind the Bulls, but the Bulls were really good that year before Derrick Rose busted his knees against Philly in the playoffs. But every other time, it has been a team that is a 1 seed. So to me, that's the question for this. And another thing of what hurt Russ before with the triple-doubles, James Harden won the award last year. Our voters going to be like, yeah, that's cool and all, but we're going to give it to this guy.
What I was debating at the beginning of the season, why I didn't pick James Harden, was because of the fact that a large reason why he won the MVP last year was because he took down the Warriors. And he's not going to be able to take down the Warriors again because you're the defending number 1 seed. So you're going to need to do something spectacular to win it. And I truly think he's done that. This team, the Houston Rockets, has gotten much worse from last year, at least talent-wise, and he's been able to make that difference up. And yes, they're not the number 1 seed, but if you look at their past 50 games and what he's been able to do when he's turned it on, they've been 36-14, and they've risen from 14th in the Western Conference all the way up to 4th. So that is giving them a first-round matchup at home if it stays that way. So I look at that, and I think that's just something that is really eye-popping, really spectacular. It's truly memorable where, again, Giannis has been a freak of nature. Giannis has been crazy. He's had his 50-point game as well against the Sixers.
One 50-point game.
I know, but that was something where you're going up against a playoff team, and he just came out and produced.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
He's not the same scorer and doesn't have the same usage as James Harden.
But another thing with Giannis that you can play into it that's a positive for him is last year, this team, 7th seed in the playoffs, gets knocked out by Boston.
Yeah.
We're not even preseason, not even talking about the Bucks. It's can the Sixers do it? Can the Celtics do it? Kawhi now with the Raptors, are they going to be able to do it? Nobody was looking at the Bucks.
Yeah, we knew Bud was a good coach, but we didn't realize how much he would change this team.
And to help that argument, too, I mean, you look at our preseason predictions on this. Yeah, Dave had him at 7, I had him at 6, Ricky had him at 6. Evan, you look at the Rockets, we all had them at 2. So we all thought that they were going to be a top team, and now just the way the season played out, we're amazed that they're the 4th seed, and then we look at the Bucks, and they've just been good from the get-go.
You know what I feel really good looking at our East playoff standings? If the playoffs were to start today, no, never mind, the Heat, no. Were they? Oh, I'm looking at last year. If the playoffs were to start today, all of us would have the right teams, just different seedings.
I thought the Magic are in here.
The Nets.
Yeah, I don't think we're spot on.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not.
No,
so the Wizards
we don't have the Nets. No, that's right.
We don't have the Nets.
That's right. That's right. My bad. So one team.
Stay hot, kid. And yeah, obviously we're all taking out 2 because Dave has the Lakers in Memphis. I have the Lakers
Well, I
and
was
Pelicans.
just looking at the East.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying in general too. And you have the Lakers at 3 and the Pels at 7.
Early season predictions are tough, but yeah, I'd say Bud's contributions to Giannis, like it's what Mike D'Antoni did for James Harden. I feel like it's the exact.
Especially last year.
Well, yeah, it was just having a coach who understands how to utilize and get the most out of you and fit your skills to a system. I think that's what Coach Bud is doing for Giannis. Like he's really in such a short amount of time gotten this team, which is very much the same roster. Like they didn't have a massive turnover. Like
besides like trades for like Nico and stuff like that.
But their starting 5 has mainly stayed the same. It's still Bledsoe. It's still Middleton. It's still
and don't
Giannis.
Forget,
I think the biggest thing is just gonna be Brook Lopez.
Don't forget White Dante out there too.
White Dante.
He just got injured though.
I know.
Yeah. But I agree. Like Brook Lopez was a game changer for their spacing. He's been huge, but I think that's the reason I'm like I want to put Giannis there, but I also think that it's like I'm giving my credit, to Bud basically out of this. Like Giannis is an amazing player. I think he's probably like I would say James Harden's going to win because the 36 is just a stupid number. Like, is that superficial of me? Yes, but that's just where it's at. Like his
or is it like a Russ thing
insane.
where it's like, that's cool, but we saw you ball out last year. Even though this year, stat-wise, he's better than last year.
He's playing better than he was last year, and with less help. Like losing Trevor Reeves and Luke Mabute was huge for them, and they still went forward. PJ's been great for them. They've put in, like you said, next man up. Freaking Austin Rivers, basically got waived from 2 teams. It's just like, come on, man. It's just they're able to make it work. And I think that's all credit to James Harden at this point because team on his back. Is he going to have anything off for the playoffs? Don't fucking know yet. But the point is, regular season, it's hard to deny him the MVP.
So if you had to sell me in pretty much one word for both players, who would it be? Evan, give me how close it is in your mind and who's your winner.
Oh, if I can do one word, that's tough.
Or not one word, but like one sentence. Like if you had to just pitch to me quick, like elevator pitch, like what's the reason James Harden's winning the MVP in your mind?
James Harden scores more than anyone else in the NBA. Like that's it. He is the best.
Is that enough though?
He's the best scorer in the NBA.
I mean, but you look at Milwaukee; they have a better record.
They do.
So it doesn't mean that much. I mean, I don't know if that's the best.
But
thing you
Giannis has a better supporting staff, a better. Yeah,
but to sell him, I'm just saying, like to sell him.
Here's what I would.
It's an individual
I don't know
achievement,
if I'm buying,
and he is the better individual player.
Here's how
James Harden on an island versus Giannis on an island.
But that's not what the award is.
One-on-one.
The award is not
one-on-one. I'm just saying, like individual. Like, what can they do?
I was just picturing them fighting on an island.
How I would sell each is for James Harden, it would be never been done, and then for Milwaukee and for Giannis, it would be exceeding expectations. Where
never been done.
What we have seen from him, the 30-point game streak and this kind of a play, like I haven't seen this type of a player in a very long time. Whereas Giannis, it was we had him 7-6. And they're now at the top of the East. He's exceeding the expectation. So whichever side you fall on, but also it comes back down to the debate I said.
Yeah.
The best player or the most valuable player.
Well, to even help that too, I mean, they're not even the best in the East; they're the best in the just league.
Yeah.
And 4 games above the Raptors.
Hey, on top of the Warriors.
I think those are good. I think those are good selling points. Though.
Yeah, I saw like a crazy stat on Reddit this morning. It was like the Bucks have won equal games this year by double digits than they won in total last year.
That's
like
crazy.
when you blow out that many teams, I think it's 44. Like that's an insane number.
And their differential is 9.5. So I mean, they're almost averaging just 10 more points a game.
It's absolutely incredible. But I think that's team basketball. Yes, Giannis is the catalyst that drives that team, but I think that's just they've been up until basically 2 weeks ago. They were the healthiest team in the NBA for the entire season. Everything went their way. They have a fantastic coach who we're probably going to talk about later for Coach of the Year. I think that James Harden's done more with less.
Yeah,
and he's done it in a harder conference.
You look at their starting five before things went south. Brook Lopez started 76 games, Bledsoe 74, Chris Mid 73, Giannis pretty much 70, and then Brogdon 64. I mean, they've been extremely healthy. Where if you look at the Rockets, and I know this is kind of just with the system. Yeah. They're not really like I pretty much just throw out the same starting five every night. But you look at it, Harden and PJ Tucker are the only players to start over 70 games. Yeah. Tucker 76, Harden 72, Capella 61, Chris Paul 52, Eric Gordon 47, James Ennis 25. He's not even a team anymore. Kenneth Faried 13. He was just recently signed. Rivers signed midseason 13. Daniel House 13, who was in the D League. Yeah. Melo started 2 games for him. Shumpert started 1 game.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like. Gerald Green was one of their big contributors. Mm-hmm. A year ago off the couch, and then they go ahead and they do it again with Kenneth Faried, guy who couldn't earn a fucking minute for the Nets, and it's just like, and you're now on our team and starting. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Dude,
it's just insane.
I just played that first dunk he had, and like the joy on his face of like I'm actually playing basketball again. So happy.
I don't know what was better. What do you which one was better for you? Because I'm still leaning on the Green side. Like Green or Faried, which
Green
mid-season pickup?
Literally coming off the couch.
And just dropping threes like crazy. Yep. Both of them were amazing, but yeah.
And then just to throw this out there for advanced stat stuff, the leader this year in win shares per 48 is Giannis Antetokounmpo at pretty much 29.2. So at least...
How far behind is...
Analytics. It's James Harden. James Harden win shares per 48. Let me find it. Because Basketball Reference only gives you 1 year or one player for a year, which is stupid. Great site. Besides that, 24.3.
So that's a noticeable difference.
Yeah, it's a big gap at least per.
But 48. You know what else is a big gap? Mm-hmm. The difference between James Harden and the number 2 scorer in the league. It's equal to the number 2 to like the number 36.
Also, box plus minus.
You're talking like points per game.
Yeah,
the 36.2 to 28.2.
And then you take that difference and from 28.2 down to. Whatever, like, it's a stupid number.
James Harden also does lead in BPM, box plus minus, and then VORP.
And not surprising at all.
It's shockingly, he is also the leader in offensive win shares. But that's one thing too that Giannis has over him is he's a better defensive player. And that's not even it's not even
incredible,
close.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the offensive gap between James Harden and Giannis,
there is a defensive gap, but
there's a huge defensive gap where
people
I think
don't pay much attention to the defense.
Well, we will.
And
I
Jabari
think
Parker gonna say what?
We all think that James Harden's the MVP, right?
Yeah. As much as
how do you feel?
So I have to vote James Harden. I want to vote Giannis. I have to vote James Harden just because.
Why do you have to?
How I've seen the award. I have been the stan of, you know what? It is the most valuable player. Yep. And I have every year, you've asked me the question, Ricky, who's your MVP? And it always was LeBron James because he's the most valuable to Cleveland. Well, my point was proven. Cleveland is now garbage without LeBron James.
So is Los Angeles with them.
Didn't they win about the same amount of games in this year, last year?
A little bit. But I've always been that kind of a person, so I have to keep true with myself, and I don't want to go different. I have to give it to James Harden, although I'd love to give it to Giannis.
All right.
I would give it to Giannis just to be right for my preseason prediction and hold true, but I do believe James Harden deserves it.
I will give you credit because you are a person that would totally just go away from actual stats and just be like, I want to be right, so I'm giving it to Giannis.
100%.
So I think the fact that you're saying that truly means
like Sean putting Jokic in the top 3, although it could be, you could argue it.
I mean, but James Harden's been in the top 3 for MVP for years now. I think it's a sustained, incredible level of success.
Real quick, I am just looking at the voting. Russ, when he did win it, was a much better player. Like that triple-double was much better than any of the other ones. He was averaging 31. He was actually efficient from 3. He shooting like 34% from 3.
He also had the triple-double streak.
Like 84% from the line, too. So, I mean, he's been phenomenal. He was phenomenal that year. So it's not like, there's other reasons why. It's not just the triple-double he got it. He was one of the craziest triple-doubles we've seen. But yeah, clearly Harden finished number 1 last year. Giannis was 6. Giannis finished tied for 7th in 2016-2017. Harden was 2nd. Then Harden was 9th.
Oh, wow.
In 2015-2016.
I feel like he was a whole lot closer in my mind there.
Harden then was 2nd in 2014-2015. So there was a drop-off between those years. And then 2013-2014, he was 5th.
Basically, since he's been on the Rockets, he's been in the top 10 for MVP voting and consistently up at the top 5.
All right.
It's pretty awesome. Awesome.
Let's move now to Defensive Player of the Year. Clearly, it's not going to be Ben Simmons. It might, though, be Kawhi Leonard, and it probably will be Rudy Gobert. Anyone have any other candidates that stick out to you that should be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year? I think one big one is...
No, you're just wrong.
For blocking all those shots.
I mean, yes, he blocks shots, but he also hits players as many times.
No, I know.
Yeah, he just like pretty much it's his blocks to personal foul ratio is like equal.
It's horrible.
I think the big one, we'll just start with Gobert then, because since he is the defender. Rudy Gobert obviously has been defending his throne well. Obviously, Defensive Player of the Year. Same amount of blocks last year, 2.3 to 2.3. Nearly the same defensive rating, 99 last year to 100 this year. He also has improved his offensive rating as well. I have no idea still why. He was not an All-Star, 122 to 133. And a big thing, too, defensive win shares, 3.9 last year being the Defensive Player of the Year, and now all the way up to 5.3. So he's been defending his throne extremely well. So I think that he clearly needs to be in the top 3, definitely in the discussion. But who else out there should be in this discussion for Defensive Player of the Year?
Giannis.
You're putting him right up
If he doesn't get MVP, I'd definitely give him Defensive Player of the Year. He ranks, first in...
Hold on, you can't give him that sympathy.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
No, but...
That's not how any of this works.
You probably should have won MVP, so we're going to give you Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, there's a little bit of that, but it's not like he doesn't back it up. He's been a very good defensive player this year. In my mind...
But is the award the very good Defensive Player of the Year award?
No, it's the best defensive player. And in my mind, it's either you're giving it to Rudy Gobert or you're giving it to Giannis. And I would go Giannis.
Really?
Yeah. I would not go Giannis. I know Giannis, his impact, it changes the way teams offensively work around him because he's just... The wingspan's incredible. He can guard 1 through 5. I don't get me wrong. He's definitely a fantastic defensive player, but I think that the players that stand out to me, obviously Paul George made his mark early in the year, but I think he has fallen off as of late. The team has been struggling a whole lot more on defense. I think in general the Thunder have been struggling. So I think his case has kind of fallen off. The other guy that I love hearing is obviously Joel Embiid. Shout out to Jake. But he's just... Everything that he does is... It seems like it's more impactful, but at the same time, Gobert's just better at defense than him. Joel Embiid's an incredible rim protector. Don't get me wrong. It's just the fact that when he does it, there's attitude to it. There's style. There's something. He adds the panache to his actions, and that's why he ends up on SportsCenter all the time. Rudy Gobert doesn't even get an All-Star vote, or doesn't get voted into the All-Star game. Can't make that. You saw the Thierry, interview about that, and it's the dude's just a straight up monster on defense all year. Super quiet. He plays in Utah, so he gets no media coverage. This is the one thing. It's you just can't give it to anyone else in my mind because no, he's been the best defensive player in the year. He's still the best defensive player in the NBA.
I honestly think that Paul George really hasn't fallen off as much as you said. I think the biggest thing that you have to look at with him is night in, night out, he's going up against the best player on the other team. He's trying to lock them up. And he's still, I think he's top 20 in both steals and blocks. He is, I think, near a 103 defensive rating. And a big thing, too, is you look at how good that team is defensively. So it's going to be tough to be, it's going to be tough to have a crazy on-off. But if you look at the top 30 of on-off defensive ratings, Paul George is 27th. So the fact that he's doing that and still has a negative differential where at least defensive rating for the team with him and without him clearly shows that he's just doing just elite stuff on the defensive end. And I think when you're doing that every single night and then you're also the number one scorer on your team, it's tough to keep that up for 82 games. And a big thing that he has been is healthy this year. And I think that Paul George clearly does have a strong case. So if we're laying out the field, I think you want to throw in Giannis. We're obviously leaving Rudy Gobert in there because he hasn't fallen off. Joel Embiid is up there. I think Paul George is up there, and let's throw Kawhi Leonard in. Any other guys?
I guess the argument against Kawhi Leonard is, do you discount him because of the missed games, the healthy DNPs?
Yeah,
that's. I think a lot of people.
He wasn't injured.
I think a lot of people are salty about the rest he's taking, and it's his right to take those days. He's obviously worked with the Raptors and discussed hey, for me to feel okay and 100% going into every game, That's what matters to me most.
Plus, they're like, hey, we'd rather have you rested for the playoffs when it matters.
We also want to keep you happy because you're going to be a free agent.
I say, like, whatever you say, Kawhi, as long as you sign on the dotted line when it comes time. Like, that's all that matters. So
I think
a lot of people discount him and be like, you know what? Yes, you've been amazing defensively, but guess what? So is Danny Green. Like, Danny Green's, like, I think just been insane for that team as the throw-in contract. A lot of people joked about after that deal was decided, but I don't think Kawhi's played in enough games to make it count for me. Like, everybody else is doing it every night in and out. Like you said, Paul George going up against the best wings in the NBA every night in the West. So
would you put him in the field?
I would put him in the top 10, but he would be outside of my top 5.
Is there someone that you would put? Who would you be putting in the top 5 over him? So, like, we have Embiid, we have Gobert, we have Paul George. If you want to put Giannis in there, you want to put Giannis. Give me just one other name. I think Miles Turner's been, really great at protecting the rim. He's been good on off as well. But that team is really great defensively as well. I think Ben Simmons, I was joking that, clearly he's gotten worse. But he does affect a lot of shots. He's not getting the statistical numbers, and his defensive rating isn't great. But he's still not like a trash defender by any means. He was extremely great last year.
Yeah,
and he's just kind of regressed to being good, which is still great.
Yeah.
A lot of confusing words in there. He's not good, but still great.
He's not amazing, but he's still good.
Yeah.
He's still very good. Anthony Davis would have been there if he played more games. Like, I think him and Kawhi are on the same tier for me.
Okay.
Like, it's just, I think there's the top 4, and I don't think anybody else is like, there's a step down.
All right, where would you just put Draymond on there? Because obviously he's taken a step back, but he's been former Defensive Player of the Year.
I don't know.
But yet again, is this what you've done in the past, or is this what you've done this year?
This year, he's
well, no,
he's
I just
good,
want to know just because what he has done in the past. I just want to know where he is, like, in your guys' mind, just because of what he's done.
I don't
in the
think
past.
I can think of 15.
I'm not saying does he deserve to be there because of what he's in the past. Just where does he stand because of his past? Like, where does LeBron James stand in the MVP voting because he's been where he's been in the past?
I don't think I can think of 15 better defensive players this year than him. So I would say top 15, top 10 would be close. It's just there's a lot of guys, and if we're like I said, if I'm giving guys who had some games off as a discount, but they're still top 10 for sure. I think Draymond, the passion he brings out there. I mean, his defense affects his whole team, and that's the thing that not everybody can do. Like, obviously Gobert, his whole team gets into it because of his blocks. Joel Embiid motivates the entire team when he swats a ball into the third row in the stands. Like, Draymond's defense definitely does it for the Warriors. So there are those intangibles. It's like, yeah, the numbers say this, but the eye test tells me that he's more important because of his defensive efforts. So I feel good about top 15, top 10 range.
All right, so we'll leave Giannis out there. We'll leave Rudy Gobert out there. We'll leave Paul George out there.
Yep.
And then who am I missing?
Joel
Embiid.
Yeah.
So let's make a case for every player. I'll start off with Paul George. I think the fact that you are going up against the best player every single night is absolutely huge. The fact that you have such a drastic on-off differential defensive rating for your team, who's already a great defensive team in the Oklahoma City Thunder, is massive. The fact that he has so many steals, he's the league leader in steals this year. He's great at just popping balls loose. He's great at anticipating. And I think also the fact that he has such a high offensive usage means a ton because he's giving it on both ends. And to be a great defensive player, it's not like he's Andre Roberson out there giving all of his effort just on the defensive end, or Tony Allen giving all of his effort on the defensive end. He's doing it both ways, and I think that just makes it more impressive that he has been this elite defensively. He's also really good at affecting opponent shots. For George, opponents have shot just 44.1% against him when shooting against him compared to it's 1.6 lower than the average. So he's a better defender than the average NBA player. So I think the fact that he's just being able to do it on both ends of the floor, and he does it at such a high level, better than an average NBA player, is huge to me for Paul George. Dave, clearly you've been on the Embiid trade, so defend him there.
On the Embiid trade. He is, I don't know, this is a bad thing. Like, I don't even want to pull stats for him because, like, I don't know that they even line up, but I just know that when I watch him play, he's one of the most dominant shot blockers in the league, and his mobility allows him to go out to the outside and cover guys who are stretch 4s and 5s to keep them honest out there. Just watching him play is basically all you need to see, is just the passion he brings and the ability to just be an absolute brick shithouse down in the low post, because there's not, 2 guys in the league who can bull through him. Like, it's literally like Steven Adams, who is just insanely strong, and then everybody else is a question mark.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen more centers shut down by anybody other than Gobert. It's just Embiid. Think about all the matchups we've seen when it's like Hassan Whiteside, lives in his head. Andre Drummond, absolutely owned by him. It's just the list goes on and on throughout the entire East. And then when you start covering those West games, it's the same thing. It's just he's just been one of the most dominant centers in the NBA. I don't know if it's all defensive, and that's why I'm like, he's an offensive monster still.
To help your stuff, to help your defense, off the floor for opponents shooting in the restricted area, people are shooting 59.2% against Joel in the restricted area when he's on the floor.
That's pretty good.
Off the floor, it goes up to 64.2. So that's a difference of 5. That's just behind Miles Turner, who's when on the floor, it's 59.4%, and that goes up to 65.8%. And even Gobert, you look at Gobert, on the floor, 60% to 59.3%. So there's actually an increase there. But he also does have, Derek Favors helping him out, who's one of the better rim protectors in the league.
Old school for you.
And Gobert's great too, but I think they're also taking much less shots off the floor. So it's going to be naturally inclined or easier to have a higher percentage. But it's 1,200 shots against him when he's on the floor, and 760 when he's off the floor. So I think Embiid does clearly show that. But has he played enough games? He's played 62.
Yeah, he's over the 60 mark, which was the line I drew in the sand in my head.
So it's enough?
It seriously was.
It's enough, though?
It seriously was.
Dave didn't draw that out here. He drew it in his head.
Well, okay, so I think Kawhi had 56 and Anthony Davis had 55. So I was like, well, you got to be more than those two guys. And he is. So I'm counting it.
Kawhi's currently at 55 right now.
Yep.
So back up your guy, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Giannis, to me, it's like there's a reason why when we were talking MVP, I said he's the best player, is because it's not just offensively, he does it defensively too. And if you want to throw out, because I like what Dave was saying, where it's I don't want to throw out the stats with him.
His defensive rating is disgusting, by the way, though.
Exactly. He's
it's
the
98.7.
He's the best.
It's
and
not
that's
even close.
the only stat I would use if I wanted to throw it out there. But it's I watch Giannis play, and I go, wow, this guy is, unless it's and that's why the Joe Giannis game was so good.
It was.
Because they just went after each other, and they're both really good defensively and offensively, to where I just look at it and I go, you could make a strong case for not just Giannis being Defensive Player of the Year, not just being MVP of the year, but being both this year.
Oof.
You could make a case.
Well, that's what I was
for
trying
him
to make for
both.
Anthony Davis at the beginning of the year.
That's true.
He would be the only player. I'm trying to remember this from fucking October, but I think it was Hakeem and might be only just Hakeem. Hakeem and I think it was Jordan, because Jordan was Defensive Player of the Year. So I think the only two players to win both MVP and Defensive Player of the Year were Jordan and Hakeem Olajuwon.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Both in the 90s. I think it was 91 for Jordan and then 94
Nope. Jordan
for
was
Hakeem.
in 87, 88.
Winning MVP and Defensive Player of the Year?
Yep. He averaged 35, 5.5, and 6, while also averaging 3.2 steals and 1.6 blocks per game.
Was that a third-year player? Shit.
Let's see. And then the Hakeem one was 93, 94. 27, 12, 3.6, and a whopping 3.7 blocks per game with a 1.6 steals per game.
Mm-hmm. And then one thing to help your honest thing, he does lead the league in defensive win shares, 1.78 compared to Embiid, who's at 1.54, or Paul George, who's at 1.67. This is just win shares, though. It's not averaged out to a certain amount. And Rudy Gobert's 144. But then you could just say JJ Redick's at 148. So big thing is, he's on the floor when Joel Embiid is there.
Yeah.
But you also look at JJ Redick. JJ Redick's not a great defender. I think let's just get into our predictions and then we'll move on. Who's your defensive player of the year?
Giannis.
I'm sticking with Rudy.
You're sticking with Rudy?
Yep.
I'm surprised.
Where Dave was right.
You're backing up Joel.
No.
I'll go Paul George. I think he's been that effective, and I think even if he's not MVP, the fact that he's been probably the best two-way player this year is going to be the reason for me. I think there's a case for Giannis. There's a case for Joel too. There's a case for both
all three of those guys are very close.
I think even Kawhi, when healthy, it definitely has a case as well. Let's move to Rookie of the Year. There's two guys. It's Trae Young, Luka Doncic.
Can we just give them co-Rookie of the Year?
Nope.
Come on. They've both been good.
We'll just give one first half and the other second half.
I think I would be fine if they just came out and said, yeah, we're going to give it to both Trae Young and Luka Doncic. Because they're both
I would not be fine with that. Give me an answer.
I look at the stats and I go, you could justify either way. Either way,
I
justify.
think the biggest thing is both of their teams suck, and literally they're neck and neck. So there's no decider, at least when it comes to wins.
Oh, it's true.
At least per
They've
that.
literally traded away every other starter on the Mavericks.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing too. It's
I don't know how you
But this
that.
isn't most valuable. This is just of the year.
And if we're taking out, and I think
his efficiency goes away when you take away 4 starters from his team. But guess what? He's still putting up stupid numbers.
Here's what we'll do. Ready? So the Mavs will keep losing. They'll get a top 5 pick.
They better.
Trae Young gets Rookie of the Year. No one wins the trade. No one wins.
Trae Young will not win Rookie of the Year. He was an inefficient chucker to start the season. His stats have been amazing since New Year's.
And here's Trae Rookie of the Year. Luka gets a top 5 draft pick. Everyone's
let me put this out there. I still have it as Luka Doncic, and it not only does he just have better advanced stats, he's got a higher win share, he's got a better per. But even outside of that, people are just looking at the after the All-Star break for Trae Young, which is true. He's been phenomenal. I do not want to take that away.
Some players, it takes a while.
He's been fantastic after the All-Star break. Colin Sexton has been as well.
The last month of this year, he's been fire.
But at least the 18 games after the All-Star break for Trae Young, and then the 15 games for Luka Doncic after the All-Star break. Trae Young, 26 points per game, 9 assists, and then pretty much 4.5 boards, shooting 45% from the field, 38 from 3, and then 87 from the line. And Luka, 25.5 points per game, 9 boards, 7 assists, 1 steal, 40% from the field, 25% from 3, and 67.2. So the biggest thing that hurts Luka is his inefficiency from the field, but also, again, he doesn't have starters on his team.
He lost 4 starters.
And he also has...
I will just keep screaming at you.
The biggest thing that we do see from him is the fact that he isn't fully in shape yet. So once it gets to the late end of the games, he's really just hurting out there, and he's been inactive for 3 of the games since the All-Star break. And a huge thing, too, is he's still playing like 38 minutes in some of these games, 36 minutes, 35, 37. So
trying to catch up to those LeBron minutes per game rookie year shit, man.
Yeah, I think Luka has been worse than Trae Young after the All-Star break, but I don't think it's been that drastic if we're just saying, look at the help, and then also look at their makeup. I mean, Luka Doncic is a bigger player. He's going to be going up against more strong and athletic guys, where Trae Young is going to try to avoid contact as much as possible. And he's, clearly, again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Trae Young. I'm trying to build the case for Luka Doncic. Luka Doncic was probably the most elite Rookie of the Year. We were ready to give it to him after 3 months. So the fact that this is close right now is a credit to Trae Young.
Absolutely.
But I still would lean Luka Doncic just from the fact of, his actual overall stats and his effect on the team is much more massive than Trae Young.
Yeah, I think that when it comes down to it, watching Trae Young hit half-court shots on the regular has been hilarious at the NBA level, because every single hater out there was like, there's no way he's going to be able to get away with this shit. Like, when he goes to the NBA, he's going to get his shot blocked so many times.
There was one he doesn't
have it
from
really.
From the logo was like, I'm just going to...
He's got the feet on the back of the logo.
Oh, it went in. Good shot,
like
Good
every
try.
bad shot is a good shot. It literally is a Steph Curry syndrome. Like, it's exactly what it feels like.
And what did I say?
Passing
Player
vision
comp.
has been incredible. The availability of John Collins has helped him out so much. Having that low post presence down there to feed it to, like, he has... I think Atlanta has a super bright future with him there. And I'm back to the, I don't know if anyone won or lost this trade, but I would say the season as a whole, I've been so much more impressed by what Luke has been able to do. He came in as a younger player, just incredible, and he's just lived up to it. Every little bit of the hype that people were talking shit.
Younger player, but's been a pro for
longer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing. It was like, this kid's 18 and accomplished more in his life than I have. Like, come on.
That's not that hard.
Well, thanks. Shots fired. But my point is, at the end of the day, it's got to be Luka, because he's just been an incredible contributor to this team.
Here's the thing, too, is the Mavericks are clearly tanking right now.
Yeah.
And they've really gone hard after the All-Star break. Where Atlanta, it was a slow start for Trae Young, and also I think a big thing, too, is just like that team overall is not that good. Outside him and Collins, and then Taurean Prince has been injured.
Yeah.
But you look at it, February 1st, 2019, the Hawks were in 12th place in the East, and the Mavericks were 12th place in the West. Clearly being 12th place in the West is much more impressive, and they were only 4.5 games back of a playoff spot at 23 and 28, where the Hawks were in 12th place, but they were, I hate doing math on the podcast, 8 games back, and they were 16 and 34. So I think Luka, you look at just the impact that he's had on the team and the help that he has around and the help that he's lost, clearly gives the overall structure of Luka Doncic.
Yeah.
But Trae Young has been fantastic.
I give it to Trae Young only because...
Come on.
No,
I was like,
for
I'm
me,
waiting for Ricky to budge on this.
Like, to me, it's, yes, the slow start, you could use it as a negative, but...
It is a negative.
Also,
He shot like ass.
Dave just
He
said...
was horrible.
Like Dave just said, Luka had been a pro longer than Trae Young.
It's not. It's based off one season, Ricky.
I know.
It's based off who is the rookie of the year.
Will you let me fucking talk, man?
You cut me off all the time, too.
So what I'm saying is Luka can come in. He's used to being a pro. There was no barrier there. With
but
Trae
remember,
Young,
he's playing garbage competition. He's playing 38-year-old men smoking packs of cigarettes during the game.
But still, the mentality of being a pro, where Trae Young is coming from college, never had to be a pro. Maybe it took him a little bit to get into the league. But now, ever since the All-Star break, if I look at them both, that's why I just want to give it to both of them. That's why I just want co-rookie of the years, because you can justify either one, and you're right in my mind.
You gotta
I'd give it to Trae Young.
Well, and here, let's look at the first 36 games. Luka was averaging 19.5, 6.5 boards, 5 assists on 43, 37, and 76 shooting. Or Trae Young was averaging 15 points per game, 7.5 assists, 2.9 boards on 39, 27, and 78 shooting. So both guys have had just bad stretches to start the season. So through the first 37 games, Trae Young was not that great. Through the first 36 games, Luka Doncic was fantastic. And then the past 15 games, Luka hasn't been great. And in the past 18 games for Trae Young, he's been phenomenal. So I think it's a tale of two seasons. I think just overall though, you have to give it to Luka Doncic. I just personally can't take in the professional background of that. Because, yes, it was easier for Luka to start, but you still have to perform.
Oh, and I'm not saying, like, that's for sure, like, oh, I'm going to give Trae an easier route from the beginning and give him a little. But it's like, I personally, from what I've seen lately, I'm just throwing a dart at the board. And I like Trae Young better, so I'll give it to Trae. But I would love to give just co-rookie of the years. And they both deserve it.
And we'll see your feelings when we come to Wet Boys. Because you not to spoil anything, but spoiler, Ricky has Trae Young as his Wet Boy.
But he was the first one to give Luka a Wet Boy.
2 Wet Boys. I've given him 2 Wet Boys.
Before Trae got his. But that was because Luka Doncic was so damn good. But let's move now to Sixth Man of the Year. Eric Gordon, Rajon Rondo, and Isaiah Thomas were all of our choices. All of those are wrong.
They were all hurt, too.
Yeah. So who is right now the lead for your Sixth Man?
Lou Will.
Okay.
This is a non-discussion in my mind. Lou Will, his only competition is Trez, who is his teammate, who is not going to win it because Lou Will's just been better.
Ask me in February, I would have said Derrick Rose.
Honestly? Yes. It would have been Derrick Rose for that.
Before he turned into complete ass.
Well, yeah, he got hurt more, which is sort of what he does.
Well, no, but
we know that.
You even look at his 3-point percentage. I think there was a stat where he was 0 of 70 or something.
Yeah, he literally has just.
I would have loved to be able to say D Rose, but it's Lou
He
Will.
went from shooting 46% from 3, and we're like, Derrick Rose took all that time off and learned to shoot, and I was like, oh wait, Derrick Rose just really got lucky to start the season, and now he's like, if I only take 2 a game, how much can I hurt my percentage?
Yeah,
right, guys?
So in the 18 games from January 15th to March 10th, he was 1 of 5, 0 of 3, 0 of 4, 0 of 3, 0 of 1, 0 of 2, 0 of 2, 0 of 1, 0 of 2, 0 of 2, 1 for 3, 0 for 0, 0 for 0, 0 for 2, 0 for 1, 0 for 1, 0 for 1, 0 for 1, 0 for 2, 0 for 0. So yeah, he just fell off the map.
But to end the season, is he shooting above 37% from 3? What's his percentage from 3? Is it 30?
D Rose?
Yeah.
It's .057. It's
on
5% from 3. Oh.
No, I'm saying what's his 3-point percentage for the season?
37.
Yeah. So when everybody turns around and looks at it, it's like, oh, Derrick Rose, we thought he was a terrible shooter, but this is the problem with stats. Like you said, tale of 2 seasons. This man was electric to start the season. He had that it factor. There was something about Derrick Rose and those teams that worked. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, never mind. He regressed to the mean. And maybe not quite all the way down because he's missing the rest of the season.
It's weird too because for Lou Williams, I don't feel like I want to give it to him just because he's won it so much. But it's also he's so important in that team, so it feels like he shouldn't. But also, again, he's not a starter, so that's the whole point of it.
But it's like a gimmick move because he deserves to start. It's just he works so much better with a second unit against second units.
Mm-hmm. And it's weird too because you're always just he had to have a start in there once, and he has literally 0 starting games. And he's not started a single game for the Clippers this year.
It feels kind of gimmicky, kind of like when was it the Marlins who were starting relievers to start games? The Rays did that. Yeah, they're using closers to start games, and it was like, I don't know how to feel about this, but it sort of makes sense in the back of my head.
Funny thing about that, if you look at fantasy baseball, the guy who was their closer that started so many games, everyone's like, oh, I'm going to pick him up because he's got so many wins. Yeah, the only reason he had wins is because he would start the first inning, they'd get a lead, and then he'd get the win because they'd keep it.
No, I mean, it's just... But it's a strategy, and it works for the Clippers. and no one saw them.
That final shot he hit, like, what was that, a week ago?
Yeah.
Like, I can't. Now I'm going to look it up who the Clippers were playing.
Here's the thing. I think let's just give the top 5 because I think everyone's going to have Lou Williams. The top 5 would pretty much be, and this is according to most points, rebounds, and assists per game for all the 6-man candidates. Lou Will is the leader. Domantas Sabonis, Montrezl Harrell, Derrick Rose, and Spencer Dinwiddie, who Derrick Rose obviously been injured. Dinwiddie obviously been injured as well. So I think that takes both of them out. So then it really left to Sabonis, Williams, and Harrell. And
Sabonis was playing, though, this year.
Sabonis has been fantastic, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think overall, you look at just the fact that the Clippers are probably doing more with less.
Oh.
And a lot of that has to do with Williams.
Yeah,
it's not like the Pacers are playing with a ton of talent.
Yeah, as soon as Vic went down.
But they've been still as good.
Well,
so,
there's a small bump there. But
the fact that it's only a small bump and not a sharp decline is huge.
I agree with you. I thought the Clippers were giving up and going for the draft pick when they traded Toby. I was like, oh, smart move. Go get that draft pick. Keep building up the team. Instead, they're like, you know what? We're just going to win with a roster of fucking role players. Man, I would hate to face... Like, I get it because it's the West. Everybody's like, they're probably the easiest out in the first round. But I would be terrified to play them in the first round. Are you kidding me? Like, they have been on such a tear. And it's just... Things work. Like, it's just everybody knows their role. And they got different guys who can step up at different times. Gallo has been shooting lights out. Healthy Gallo is disgusting.
And we're probably... if the playoffs started today... Portland Clippers.
Which
they're moving that matchup.
Yeah.
The Clippers are moving on.
Yep.
That's the thing.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to pick the Blazers, but I know
CJ's not fully healthy yet.
Yeah, without Nurkic and CJ fully healthy, the Clippers win that in like 6.
And that game was the
Maybe
one where
5.
they played the Nets, where D'Lo dropped 32, and then Lou Will's like, "Hey, I called game."
Yeah.
All right. So your 6th man of the year is Lou Williams. Let's move to most
locked in.
Let's move to most improved player. A couple of guys out here for sure. Pascal Siakam has to be one of them.
Spicy P.
2 Kings, I think. Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox need to be up there. There's more that I'm forgetting.
Give Ricky the credit for Zach LaVine.
Zach LaVine, I'll give that as well. That's a really a big one out there.
Yeah, that was a good call.
And I think the other one, I know I'm missing a big one too.
People have talked about D'Lo progressing, going from a questionable starter on that team where they had so many guards to being an all-star and really finding his own team really at that point. I
think you could also throw one out there with Nikola Vucevic as well.
Vucci May.
Vuce is now a what's it called, an all-star. There's one big one I'm forgetting. So just jump in and give me who you think so far.
I mean, it's tough to look past Pascal Siakam because he has been so good for that Raptor team. And the problem is the whole team is amazing. They're a loaded team top to bottom. We talked about their amazing depth coming into the season. And I joked, I was like, we're being too positive. What if these guys regress? And, we all had OG and Anunoby pegged as he's going to learn under Kawhi Leonard, and this is going to be great. This could be like Danny Granger, Paul George-esque, where it's just there's just might be a handoff in the future. We'll all feel real good about this. Instead, it's no, Pascal Siakam kicked the fucking doors down. And he's like, so guess what, guys? I'm a big who can guard 1 through 5. I can ball handle. I can run the fast break. And I'm freaking unstoppable with the ball in my hand at times. His shot's gotten better. In the games that he's played in without Kawhi Leonard, I think he's putting up 23 points a game and 8 boards and 2 assists. He is legitimately talented. And he's someone who was in the G League a couple years ago. So the man has gone from nothing to everything in such a short amount of time.
The guy I was thinking of was D'Angelo Russell. I don't know why. It just didn't click my head when you said that. But yeah, no, Siakam's been phenomenal. I mean, you didn't expect that. He was a first-round pick, 27th when they drafted him. But he's just taken such a massive leap. So I think really we could put it into categories, and Kevin O'Connor of The Ringer already did for us. And he pretty much has the guys that we've already mentioned. The veteran of Nikola Vucevic, and that past winners are Jalen Rose, Darrell Armstrong. You can look at the good stats, good guy, good team guy, D'Angelo Russell, good CJ McCollum and Jimmy Butler like that. You look at the good stats, bad team guy, Zach LaVine, Kevin Love, and Purvis Ellison are those guys. The sophomore, De'Aaron Fox, Gilbert Arenas and Monta Ellis won it as sophomores. He threw Paul George in there for the big leap. Giannis won that, and Tracy McGrady won that as well. And then obviously the surprise of Pascal Siakam. Winners were Boris Diaw and Zach Randolph, and he threw an honorable mention to Buddy Hield. So I think those are probably your players. And I think it really just comes down to, are you looking at the biggest surprise, and that's what's most improved, or are you just looking at clearly stats? Hey, Zach LaVine is now a number 1 scorer on his team.
Every single stat, I'm looking at it right now, every single one, and the turnover one is the negative because you want that to go down.
But he was asked basically to be a point guard half the season.
I mean, to me, bias totally in it, but also bias aside, I would give it to Zach LaVine.
You had him as a top 10 player.
I know, because he is a top 10 player. But yeah, I'd give it. Zach LaVine is the clear most improved player. D'Lo would be the only one. Like I would go Zach LaVine, D'Lo, and then doesn't matter who you put at 3 because those are the only 2 that count. Sure, Spicy P.
I mean, like I love D'Lo, and because that was one of the ones where you and I were going between Brandon Ingram and D'Angelo Russell, as we both had him pegged to take the next step, being 20-point-a-game scores. But like I don't know, man. I think that Pascal's been so good this year. D'Lo really got lucky with, and I hate saying this, the Karis LeVert injury. Yeah. Like, Karis LeVert went down, that team needed someone, and it was either him or Spence.
And then
Dinwiddie goes down. Yeah. And it's really like, okay, D'Lo, you got to carry this team. And they're now a playoff team in the East, which I know East
look dangerous, but
he really does, like, he's one of the most disgusting shooters in the league.
One guy I think, too, that also needs to be in contention and maybe just some respect is Blake Griffin. Just overall, he's improved. Like he's become a better ball handler.
He's worked on his 3-point
He's pretty much a point forward. Yeah, he's a good 3-point shooter. Like people are sleeping on Blake because he's playing in Detroit and he's not on SportsCenter every night because of Lob City.
Yeah.
But literally, Blake Griffin has become a completely different player. If you ask people 5 years ago what Blake Griffin would be, they probably just think he's that guy that dunks. He's much more than that now. So I think Blake Griffin just deserves a lot of credit for working on his game. If I had to rank him, I'd probably put Siakam, D'Lo, and then. I don't buy Paul George just because I knew he could do this.
Yeah.
I just don't.
He's played better, but
he also had a massive injury, and now he's like pretty much fully healthy. Hit 2 years with Russ. That one's not too shocking. I think it just makes sense too because
Buddy Hield though, like that's the one where I would take that De'Aaron. Man has shot lights out.
I would take De'Aaron over him. I think that Buddy. We saw that in Buddy before. And it was just more of getting consistency, which is huge.
Yeah.
You need to be consistent to be a great NBA player, and Buddy Hield has clearly done that. But De'Aaron literally just took his 3-point shot and his shooting in general to another level.
Yeah.
So I would say ranking them, and I don't really care. Like some people don't like giving it to a sophomore because it's natural progression, but that's not natural progression. That's working your ass off. I would rank it Siakam, D'Lo, and then De'Aaron Fox as my top 3. But we'll see. And then let's move now to Coach of the Year. This one's probably the toughest for me, and we're already at an hour, so let's kind of make it a little bit quick. Who is your top 3 for Coach of the Year, and rank them in order of who you give it to?
To me, there's only 2. Like, there's a choice between Bud. There's a choice between Michael Malone. That's it. Which one do you want to give it to?
Why those 2?
Because Budenholzer comes in, and like Dave said with Giannis earlier, basically was like, hey, I'm going to be the keys to get you, like, bring the most out of you. And we went from a 7 seed to the 1 seed. And like Dave said, blowing out opponents left and right this year. And then like the nuggets of like, natural progression. That team's going to get better with age. But what he's been able to do to make them rival the Warriors to where the Nuggets could be the 1 seed. And that's what I mean by rival the Warriors, by getting the 1 seed. That, in my mind, are the 2 you give it to. I give it to Bud because bringing the potential out of Giannis is a little bit better to me than bringing the potential out of that Nugget team.
Why not Nick Nurse? Because I know people are going to be saying, well, last year the Raptors were great too. But this is a guy dealing with his star not playing every single game with Kawhi Leonard. He's dealing with a guy, we clearly see the step Pascal Siakam's taken underneath him. He's revitalized Danny Green. Hey. I think Nick Nurse deserves some credit here.
Dwayne Casey with DeMar DeRozan got him to a 1 seed. Like, you got Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, but you just got rid of the face of the franchise in DeMar DeRozan. Now
you added Kawhi Leonard. Like, I know
not playing every single game.
By your choice. It's not like he's injured.
By the
You're giving
front
him
office's choice.
Exactly.
I think if Nick Nurse had the choice, he'd be playing.
No, I know. But, like, it's the team's choice. They're sitting him. So I don't, like, you can say I'm being mean to Nick Nurse, but, like, Dwayne Casey got fired for being Coach of the Year. For what he did last year. So you're a 2 seed. Sorry, I've got
I think he deserves some credit. And I don't think it's down to 2 guys. I think that Budenholzer's up there. I think that you have to look at Nate McMillan in Indiana. The fact that this team is 5th, has clinched a playoff spot already, and they lost their best player. That definitely deserves to be a Coach of the Year candidate. I think Scott Atkinson, or is it Scott Atkinson? No, who's Atkinson from the fucking Nets? What's his first name? It's not Scott.
I think it's
Steve? Sean. It's an S. What is it?
I touched a net coach instead of Nets coach. It's Kenny.
Kenny Atkinson.
It's totally an S, Sean.
It's not an S. Kenny Atkinson. Sean Marks is their GM. God damn it, Kenny Atkinson. I think Mike Malone for Denver definitely needs to be up there. You probably should look at Doc Rivers as well with the Clippers. And Jaeger would be there if they're a playoff team. The fact that they're still 37 or 38 should give him some contention too. My leader, though, would probably be Doc Rivers right now. The fact that this team has just been so consistent throughout the year. They really haven't taken a dip. They've been in pretty much the playoff race of either 8 or 9 or higher throughout the whole season. That's without a star. That's with trading their best player away in Tobias Harris. It's trading away a key bench player in Boban. Boban. And then
Bobby and Toby.
I mean, the fact that this team is still 45-31, 14 games above 500. That's absolutely incredible for me. So I'd probably lean Doc Rivers with the Clippers for Coach of the Year.
I want to like Doc Rivers, but I pure straight hate him still. Like it's a long time thing. Yeah, it's a long time grudge, and it's just something I'm not ready to get over yet. I will respect him as a coach right now. He's someone who I wanted fired in the past from the Clippers for him not being able to get over the hump.
I did too.
But yeah, you can't disagree with it. His work this year has been nothing short of incredible.
Well, and you look at this too. You put a competent guy in the front office. You're not giving this guy two jobs. And Doc Rivers, give him a Jerry West type figure.
You get rid of his son,
and it's incredible. Yeah, you get rid of his son. I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah.
Negative 14 win share for Austin Rivers. But yeah, I think Doc Rivers is probably my guy. I'd probably rank it Doc Rivers, Budenholzer, and then probably Nate McMillan as my 1, 2, 3.
I am taking the easy out and taking Bud. Like I spoke highly of him earlier. I really do respect what he did. I mean, he took the Atlanta Hawks, I know back in the day, and made them an all-star team of role players. And now he's taken a team of guys and Eric Bledsoe. Basically,
Al Horford's still been an all-star without him.
I know, but it's still the fact that it's like, come on, man. Yeah, you got Korver in the All-Star.
Jeff T, Korver, and Millsap.
Yep.
Horford, yeah.
That was insane. So when you can take a team of those caliber players and bring them to the All-Star level, I mean, yeah, I'm not going to talk about the playoffs because that did not end well for them. But at the same time, when you look at the players he's now working with in Milwaukee, and it's just like, dude, if you got that out of them in Atlanta, think about what you can do with Giannis, Chris Midd, the president, and Eric Bledsoe. Then you added in, obviously, Brook Lopez and Mirotic to space the floor and stretch things out. Like, he is working on a different level. He's pushing this team in different directions. Like, everything he's gotten out of them has just been unexpected from everybody in the league. So I have to go with he is in his own tier in my mind. I do agree Doc Rivers has been great. I think that I don't really love Nate McMillan because I feel like that's more of a, yeah, it's not worked out, but Indy was always like a middle team. Thinking that Bojan would be their go-to guy when Vic goes down, though. Didn't see that coming. What the hell happened to Tyreek Evans? He's trash. So I don't know. I think he's in the middle. But no, I think it's Bud and that's everybody else.
All right. Final thoughts on the award races?
No, I think we went through everything.
All right. Let us know your picks for the MVP, the sixth man, the Coach of the Year, the Most Improved Player, and Defensive Player of the Year down in the comments below. We want to definitely hear from you guys. This was way longer than we definitely expected at a hour and 11.
Wow.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed all that content.